Limitless Wrestling fans. Jon Alba here with the czar of Limitless Wrestling, Randy Carver. It has been a while. I apologize. I have been so absurdly busy and sick. I still am not entirely 100%, but we're here and we're talking Limitless Wrestling. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? It has been a while, but I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, don't worry, folks. I promised you guys we'd get an episode in this week, and here we are. We're ready to roll with the Limitless Wrestling Podcast. So much has gone down in the past few weeks, and as we want to make this a podcast for the fans, by the fans, that means it's time for Ask Limitless, which we will get to in just a few minutes. Plenty of good questions to sift through today. But before we get to any of that, we look forward to March 9th in Westbrook, the Armory. 70 tickets left for Welcome to the Dance. The Limitless Wrestling Champion will be crowned. Ace Romero, Anthony Green, JT Dunn, and MJF. I saw the belt. It looks awesome.
You saw it. How'd you see it?
Well, I saw the plates.
Nobody's seen that thing.
I saw the plates. I haven't seen the full. I haven't seen the full belt, but I've seen the plates. It's
a beaut. Something, it's still kind of surreal because this is not something that I had ever planned on. You know that just as well as anyone.
I was legitimately shocked. Randy did not tell me that he was going to make this belt announcement.
There were not many people who knew at all.
If you were to tell me that on the spot you came up with the idea, I would have believed.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't on the spot, but it was. It had been something that I think it was a thought that came to my mind in November, and we, kind of quickly just determined that this was something that I was going to roll with, and I think maybe 9 or 10 people knew before the announcement dropped, and that's it. It was very something that we kept very close, and something that I still wasn't completely sure that I was going to pull the trigger on until the beginning of this year. But it definitely makes sense. It's definitely time to do it, and I think we've got 4 of the best professional wrestlers in the world competing for the title, and that's how it should be.
How about the love MJF has been getting with All Elite, huh?
Yeah, man. And that's an interesting curveball thrown into all this, because obviously, when the thoughts of a championship first came, we didn't think that we were going to have any contract issues with any of the guys who were, in this match. But yeah, MJF now All Elite Wrestling star.
He's going to be a top guy there.
He is, man. And that roster is full of amazing people. So congrats to him. But I definitely hope for his sake that he's not getting distracted with all this press and all the tours that he's doing now for media, for AEW, because now you're seeing him everywhere. You know
what I like about all this? 'Cause have you seen him on Being the Elite and everything that they're doing with him?
I've seen clips. I honestly have not seen a full episode in a minute.
You've seen him being a dick?
I mean, I see that every day.
I know you do. Well, here's my point. What they're doing is, anytime one of the members of the Elite goes to welcome him in as a brother in arms, other than Cody, he flips him off. He tells him to F off. He's a dick to them. And then when
that's MJF,
well, listen. And then when Cody turns his back, he hugs Cody. He kisses him on the cheek. He loves him. And I'm saying to myself, man, this is exactly who MJF is as a person. People think they're watching a gimmick here. that's Max to a T.
Yeah, absolutely. So
and you know better than anyone.
Yeah, no, I do. He's that guy.
The Hurricane versus Christian Casanova. You heard my little email go off there. Sorry. The Hurricane. Yeah, seriously. The Hurricane versus Christian Casanova.
Who thought you'd ever be saying that's a match in 2019?
I'm sure Christian Casanova's amped for this.
I bet he is. This is a big opportunity. Obviously now even bigger that the Hurricane is now WWE contracted, but it's really cool. The Hurricane has been a guy who I've been trying to get in for at least six or 7 months now. So I'm happy we got to pull the trigger before it was too late, and I'm definitely happy that we got to do this match, because pulling back the curtain a little bit, originally set for March, we were going to do Christian Casanova and Kevin Blackwood. and obviously that was not able to happen. So
Right.
this is something that kind of just fell into place very organically, and I'm very excited for it now.
Yeah. Well, the Hurricane's one of the true good guys of pro wrestling too, so that's it's gonna be great to see, and I'm sure any fan who gets a chance to interact with him will certainly be well worth their money.
He's legitimately one of the nicer dudes that I've ever met myself, and I've only met him twice, but very awesome interactions both times.
Teddy Hart and Darby Allin. This one's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I titled this one Mind Melter because I think that's exactly what it's going to be. Teddy and Darby, legitimately two of my favorite wrestlers in the world, and I just think it's pure madness.
Jay, Freddie, and Puff versus Pepper Parks and Andy Williams. Tell us a little bit about this one.
So for those who don't know, Andy Williams and Pepper Parks are the Butcher and the Blade tag team. You may have seen him in Blackcraft Wrestling. Andy Williams is the guitarist for Every Time I Die, which is a very popular kick-ass band. And they've got the task to really end Puff's run with the Thick Boys here, because John Silver, I don't know if you saw it, but at Snakebitten, John Silver kind of washed his hands of Puff and said,
he's over it.
Jay, if you want to hang out with this fucking loser, go ahead. I'm done with it. And John Silver is very, very competition driven, but just like anyone on the Limitless Wrestling roster, John Silver's here to win. And ever since Puff came around with the Thick Boys, they haven't been doing a lot of that. So I guess Jay's a little more relaxed with Puff. I don't know what he sees, but they're going to try out being a tag team, and I'm very interested in the dynamic of the Puff Jay Freddie tag team myself.
What happens if Puff loses?
Well, Jay Freddie sent on a tweet the other day that it's 3 strikes and you're out, and Puff has 2 strikes, and he's bottom of the ninth in the batter's box. He's got a runner on second, needs to hit a home run to win the game. So this is a home run. If they can beat Pepper Parks and Andy Williams, that's a home run in my opinion.
You jealous that I've been covering some baseball these past couple weeks?
I'm absolutely jealous. You want to know why? Because I stepped out to let the dogs out, and it's 11 fucking degrees here, and I'm seeing you post stories of, nice sunny 60, 70 with baseball.
60? Come on now. We're talking 80, 90.
80?
Dude, I was at Mets camp the other day covering Tebow, and it was 95 degrees.
Unbelievable. That's pretty hot. That's pretty hot.
It is certainly pretty hot. And I'll be covering Braves camp tomorrow, too. So
very cool.
And then the match that you announced this week, that you call it a hardcore match. I would have called it a Dirty Rules match.
Dirty Rules?
And that's Chris Dickinson, who many know is a dirty individual himself, versus Tommy Dreamer.
I called it ECW Rules on the website, just for a little nostalgia. But I'm very excited for this. Tommy Dreamer, legitimately one of my favorite professional wrestlers. Chris Dickinson is a killer and nearly untouchable in Limitless Wrestling. I mean, we look at the last few matches he's had. He defeated Josh Briggs, defeated Simon Grimm, PCO, Brian Cage. So now he's stepping into Tommy Dreamer's world. But if you follow Chris Dickinson, it's nothing that he's new to. He's had some horrendous, crazy battles in GCW this year. One with Nick Gage that was absolutely insane. So Chris Dickinson is not new to this world of extreme, but this is Tommy Dreamer's playground, so I'm very intrigued by this one.
Josh Briggs will be on the show. He needs a win badly.
He does, man. He's coming off 2 straight losses, a big one to Chris Dickinson at No Control, and then Andrew Everett, which I think was the surprising upset at Snakebitten. So he's going to be looking to get back on track for sure.
Brad Hollister.
Brad Hollister, I'm super stoked to have back. He has not been here in nearly 3 years. He made his debut at No Dropkicks in the Living Room and hadn't been seen since. And I think Brad is a really underrated talent in the New England area. A lot of guys who are on the Limitless Wrestling roster went to bat for him and said that he's a guy that you need to get in here. And the opportunity presented itself. So we'll see what Brad can do.
Antoine Nicholas making his debut after the craziness at Let's Wrestle.
Dude, it's time for some retribution. And if you don't know what we're talking about, head over to youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling. You can see a scramble match that features Antoine Nicholas from the last Let's Wrestle show, Let's Rumble Volume 4. It's absolutely insane. And the clip obviously went viral. So if you've seen the clip, you obviously know what we're talking about. But I'm excited for Antoine to get some retribution. He was the first entrant into the 6-way scramble that we have going on March 9th. So we'll see what he can do on the big stage.
You think he's going to try to do it again?
Jeez, I don't know, man. I don't know. If he's perfected it by now, I think it's definitely worth a shot. But it's risky.
Ashley Vox.
Ashley Vox, coming off, honestly, what I think is the biggest win of her career. What's next for Ashley Vox?
Are we going to get a match announcement soon on her?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not what anyone would expect, but I think it's going to tear the house down.
Okay, excited to hear that. And then a name that I've known for a very long time, and maybe some people in northern New England might not, but especially tri-state area where I grew up, you know who this guy is. And it's Pat Buck. Tell us a little bit about Pat Buck.
I was actually going to ask you if you had seen Pat Buck in your travels when you used to hit shows.
Absolutely.
Pat has been around for a long, long time. Formerly signed to OVW. Pat was
very good worker. Very good worker.
Extremely good worker, and a guy who kind of was put on the back burner when he started the Create a Pro school with Kurt Hawkins, because really a lot of his time went into developing the students, and those students that he developed are some of the top stars in Limitless Wrestling. MJF, Chris Statlander. We can go down the line too. Bear Bronson, Mark Sterling, the Shook Crew. A lot of people who you've seen in Limitless Wrestling have come from the molding of Pat Buck and Kurt Hawkins. So Pat Buck, he got a little, to go with the Buzz Killer, he got a little buzz when he was on Cody Rhodes' list. When Cody Rhodes came out of the WWE, came to the independents, he had a list of places or people that he wanted to work with. And Pat Buck was on that list, and I think a lot of people scratched their heads, but they had time together when Cody Rhodes was young. And they had a tremendous match at Wrestle Pro, which Pat Buck also runs Wrestle Pro in the New York, New Jersey area.
He was running Pro Wrestling Syndicate back in the day.
He was.
That was where I became familiar with him.
He was one of the helping hands in Pro Wrestling Syndicate. Wrestle Pro, to my knowledge, is his creation.
Yeah, it's essentially a spinoff.
Yes. Pat's, really taking 2019 to go full force back into wrestling and back into traveling and hitting the roads and really getting his name out there again. And, there's nowhere better to do it than Limitless Wrestling. So I saw the promo video come out of him where he's calling out Antoine Nicholas, and he entered himself into the 6-way scramble, which is interesting.
I think people are going to take to Pat Buck. I think people in New England are really going to like him. And
I'm interested to see what the reaction is, because I hadn't seen Pat Buck wrestle in at least a couple of years. I mean, I obviously know he's training people every week, but I'm very interested to see what he does. And the 6-way scramble is an awesome place to make your debut, in my opinion. If you him putting himself in that match, I mean, what you're getting into. There's 5 other competitors there. They're all fighting to either get the victory or get the fans' praise to get a return match in Limitless Wrestling. So that's what they're fighting for. And he knows that, and he's gunning for Antoine, but he's also gunning for the victory.
No doubt about it. That's all coming up March 9th in Westbrook. 70 tickets remain, limitlesswrestling.com.
62 tickets remain.
So a few in the last couple hours went.
Yes.
How about that? There you go. And I assume we'll get some match announcements soon?
Yeah, I think you'll get another one by the end of the week.
Sounds good to me. Okay, let's answer some questions we asked you to ask us. Hashtag Ask Limitless. Mikey says, you mentioned a while back in an earlier podcast. Thank you for listening. You can find our archives, Limitless. What's the? I want to make sure
on every podcast site, Podbean.
I want to make sure I got the
iTunes
the URL correct on this. Limitlesswrestling.podbean.com, and then on iTunes as well. And I think we're on Spotify. If not, I will make sure that we are. So we'll take care of that. If not, so he says, you mentioned a while back in an earlier podcast how you threw around the idea of Joey Janela versus Saba Simba, but Tony, of course referring to Tony Atlas, sold the gimmick. What other outlandish matches have you thought about doing? Well, he thought about Briggs versus Alba at one point. And
I think about that every day. I thought about a few weird ones with Tony, just because Tony is a local living legend and WWE Hall of Famer. One of the most outlandish ones that was just out of left field was in 2017. I attempted to put together the Main State Posse versus the Mean Street Posse.
Would have been awesome.
It would have been. It was very apparent that I was only going to get one of the Mean Street Posse, which I was fine with, which was Pete Gas.
Yeah, I was going to say it was definitely Pete Gas.
So how this came about was Pete Gas put out a book.
For the record, Pete's a super good dude too.
Yes. He put out a book. It was either late 2016 or early 2017, but he was going around doing some book tours with some signings. And he was at Create a Pro. And the idea came from a conversation with Mark Sterling, who kind of put over that he was in good shape and, probably could still do something. So for at least a month or two, Mark and I tossed around the idea of potentially getting Mark, Pete Gass, and maybe a third member if we couldn't get another MSP member to do Mean Street versus Main State in September of 2017. But nothing ever came together, although we thought we were going to get close with doing Mark Sterling, Joey Eastman, and Pete Gass versus the Main State Posse in September of that year, but nothing came about with it, and it went away.
The Indie Wave asks, did you have any issues locking in the Hurricane for March 9th because of his new WWE deal, which, for many of you who may not know, he's a producer now with WWE. And good for him, and he'll be great.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, he'll be great at that.
There was no issue locking him down because we had him locked down since I think a couple days after Christmas.
WWE is really good about if someone has dates locked down, they will usually let them finish them out.
Yes, and it's usually actually, from what I understand, the talent has the option to choose if they'd like to do it or not, obviously.
They do.
Because one of the notorious ones who didn't, because usually the wrestlers will fulfill their obligations. I remember Rich Swan, when he got signed originally, was he was one of the first guys to just almost immediately just start with the WWE and not continue the independent, because I think he was booked far in advance. So we had him locked down with his agent Bill Behrens, who I've done numerous dealings with him, and someone hit me up and they're like, "Oh, bummer. Does this mean Hurricane is not on the March show?" And I got no context.
And you're like, what ligament did he tear?
Yeah, immediately my mind goes to the worst. So I'm like, damn, he must have got injured or something. That's such a bummer. And I go and see that he got signed as a producer, and my hopes went way up, because I'm like, okay, usually this means that they can fulfill. So, but it was a weird, it's a stressful 12-hour period, because I'm in a different time zone than his agent. So I didn't get a response till morning, and he had to wait to get a response as well. But we found out pretty quick that we're all set to go.
Good news there. Alex says, despite your hesitation to add a title to Limitless, do you see yourself adding more titles in the future?
Again, I mean, we said it when we started this podcast, never say never, but there's nothing in the works right now. I think if anything, we have the championship coming. We have the Vacationland Cup coming in July. I think if anything, we may add a tag team tournament here somewhere. But
I was going to say, if you were going to add any titles, it would probably be a tag team title, right?
Yes, I would say so. Before another singles title.
I don't ever see you doing a women's championship, because I think
everybody wrestles everybody.
Right, exactly. So
yeah,
I don't see you ever doing that.
No, I don't think we'll ever have that. But yeah, I mean, there's potential for tag team titles down the line. I won't say no, but nothing in the immediate plans.
Yeah, that's what I figured you would say. At NA Gower, sorry if I didn't say that correctly, says, did Randy get Double or Nothing tickets?
I did not. I have a couple friends that did. Actually, Jared, who is a trainee at the Limitless Dojo, got a ticket.
Did you try to get Double or Nothing tickets?
I did not. I am planning to watch, but I was not planning to head to Vegas. It is going to be a monumental night, though, for AEW and for professional wrestling as a whole. So, for anyone who does have tickets, definitely take in that experience, because it's going to be a major thing. I
did get offered press credentials for it, and I do have off that weekend, but I did not want to spend $400 to fly out there, so I will not be doing that. But they are having a Jacksonville event that I will be at, so if you're going to that, make sure to hit me up. Danielle asks, will we ever see another death match or fans bring the weapons match inside a Limitless ring? So she's referring, of course, to the Ace Romero AR Fox match that happened on my first Limitless show, and it wasn't a death match. It was a fans bring the weapons match that quickly turned into a death match.
Yeah.
It got a little out of hand. We have talked about this match on the podcast before. Do you anticipate ever going that far again?
Again, never say never, but I mean, if a circumstance calls for something like that, and I know I've said that with all the weapon matches or anything like that, but if a circumstance does call for it, I think we'll do it. But I've tossed around the idea of doing like a full deathmatch show or tournament somewhere.
I'm not a fan of that. But go ahead.
Okay, but hear me out here. I don't think I think a good majority of our fans are not huge on deathmatch stuff.
I agree.
I would say fans bring the weapons. We're kind of teeter-tottering on the line, because obviously if we did another fans bring the weapons match, we'd probably ban glass.
Yeah.
It would probably just be, I don't want to say standard, but nothing that's crazy and that can go into the crowd or anything like that, because that fans bring the weapons match was a real learning experience for me as a promoter, because I had never really had something like that.
My girlfriend, her and I had only been dating a few months at that time. She came to the show, and she could not believe what she saw.
I'm sure.
She had no way of wrapping her head around it.
So what I've been, and I haven't been like diving into this with great thought, but it is like something that's, in the back of my head, is sometime maybe in the summer or maybe next summer. We plan a whole show to the crowd who wants the death match, the violence, that genre of wrestling. And maybe we step out of our comfort zone and do a Limitless Wrestling show, but it's branded that way. You know what I mean? It's not something that we're saying this is going to be a standard pro wrestling show and then it's just like a death match to close it. You know what I mean? We build a show to that market of people who want to see death match wrestling. And I don't know, it'd just be something, it'd be kind of cool to try. GCW right now, killing it. And they're pretty much a death match promotion. A majority of their matches are death matches. They have also some of the best athletes, in pro wrestling, like an Eli Everfly or Facade or Shane Mercer. But their big matches that get noticed are their death matches. So, and they're right out of the Philadelphia area. So there's a market for that in the Northeast. It's just how you do it.
Not a fan. For me, again, the one of my favorite Limitless Wrestling matches, period, was a hardcore match, but it was done in a way that it wasn't too brutal that it was off-putting, and that was that JT Dunn, Anthony Green street fight.
Have you watched Ashley and Chris Statlander yet?
I did. I thought it was excellent.
Amazing.
I thought it was excellent. That was up there too. But again, they didn't cross the line.
Right. No, I know. I totally get what you're saying.
They didn't cross the line. I thought the two matches were actually very much in the same vein. So,
yeah, I'm with you.
And that's perfect. To me, that is perfect. Because you tell a great story, too. It's with a lot of these death matches. No offense to any of the deathmatch competitors who, as you said, there's plenty of really talented ones. For me personally, a guy getting bashed with glass doesn't tell me a great story.
I just think from my experience, from what I've seen from fans, like their reception of things, that just sometimes with the death matches, the violence is just overwhelming. Yeah. And you don't know how to really take it. So it's just for our fan base, there's not a huge market for death matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm saying like,
well,
that's why
wasn't there a show in Waterville maybe 7-8 months ago that tried to do it and it just bombed horrifically?
You want to hear a story about it?
Go ahead.
Okay, so
you don't have to use any names if you don't want to throw anyone under the bus. Because
I'm not going to, because
I know one person who was involved in it. Yeah,
the guy who was running it for the most part is a really good guy.
Yes, he is. He is a very good guy.
To bury anybody, but I was the sound and entranceway rental for that show, I believe, and Larry Huntley, who is our ring rental, was the ring rental for this show, and I remember getting there. I was with Ethan, who's our sound guy, and Alexander Lee, who was booked on the show. We set up our shit and we just kind of chilled. And we chilled for 3 hours. And I think the doors were supposed to open for VIP ticket holders at like 6. And it was like 6:30 and the ropes weren't even on the ring. And it was just like, you could kind of tell from the start that this was just something was going to go downhill. Fast forward, the show is supposed to begin at 7:30. It is 8:15, and someone comes up to me and says, I don't know what to do, because there was a carload of Nick Gage, Devin Moore, and Drew Blood, and they were what this was supposed to be was a deathmatch tournament. It was, and which was the first one ever in the state of Maine, I believe, and they had a championship for whoever won the tournament. Well, there's 3 guys in that car who are not there yet. It's 45 minutes past, when bell time was supposed to be.
And this was in the summer, so there's no weather holdups or anything like that.
No, yeah, it's a beautiful night. So the guy running the show comes up to me. He's like, I really don't know what to do here. So he brought me downstairs, and I essentially held a meeting with him, and we said, all right, who's ready to go? What do we have planned so far? Because we're not going to be able to have a tournament tonight because there weren't enough guys who were, willing to compete in a death match to do the tournament in the house already. And we had a carload of 3 guys who were who knows where. So we ended up just putting together like a first half of action with what we had there. And I don't want to say we, because I wasn't associated with this show at all. I was there, and I felt bad, so I wanted to help and at least get this fucking show on the road, because it was still, there's 30, 40 people there still expecting a show. So we finally got the show on the road. I think it was about an hour late after bell time was scheduled, and it still wasn't even until intermission that carload got there. And they had experienced some heavy traffic, they said, and then it was just... anyone who went to that show, it was madness from start to finish, and not good madness. It was just, a lot of promises were promoted that did not get fulfilled. So a lot of fans were very salty on that. But that was an experience in Waterville, Maine. Very
interesting. Very interesting. I didn't know that you had involvement in helping with that. So
yeah, it was just like, I was there, and like I knew people in the crowd, and it's just like I didn't want this thing to go longer.
You want to make right.
Yeah, if possible, I think you should always, if you're in any position, especially with pro wrestling that I care so deeply about, if you're ever in a position where you can help instead of just sit back and watch things implode, I think you should.
For sure. Megan asks, what impact does the start of AEW have on Limitless Wrestling? I don't think it's really going to have any impact.
I don't really know yet. It's tough to say.
Some people's rates might go up, but other than that...
Yeah, and it's tough to say because, like, I think everyone expected every single person who was getting signed to AEW to be exclusive.
And that's just not going to be the case.
It's just not going to be the case. I think it will be the case with some people, but it's not going to be with everybody because, as a promotion just starting up like that, I have a good idea that you can't just pay everybody money to be exclusive, like the money that you need to be exclusive right off the bat. I could be wrong, who knows, but I don't think we'll see the full effects until AEW starts television, because that's when things are really going to, the wheels are going to be in motion. Right now it's tough to say because, like, I don't know who of AEW is going to be exclusive or is already exclusive or anything like that, really. I just know for the people who I need to know about, I know what their availability is to me, and that's all I need to know.
Very fair. Very fair indeed. Patrick asks, something I've always wondered, does the promoter book all the trouble for the talents coming into the... Does the promoter book all the travel for the talents coming into shows, or are they done by another party or outside agent? And I think this is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, kind of varies based on which talent you're dealing with.
Varies based on the talent and varies based on the promotion. I've worked for a promotion myself where I've seen that they have a designated person who is just like a travel agent. Most of the time, for Limitless at least, 95% of the time, I'm booking travel, hotel, all that shit myself. And that's something that I would say a lot of promotions that are on the same level as Limitless Wrestling probably do the same, unless they have a designated person who does it. I don't fucking know, but the other 5% of the time would be that agent who I don't work with many agents.
Right.
I would say within a year span, we probably booked 2 or 3 talents that have an agent, and that's it. But for instance, the Hurricane, I still booked all that travel, even though we were working with an agent. It depends on the agent that you're working with too. Yeah. And sometimes the talent will book their own flight, especially if a talent, like if they have me on a Friday, an event on Saturday, an event on Sunday, and all 3 of them have flights. Sometimes the talent will just book their weekend of flights, and then it'll be split between the promotions, and we just reimburse. So that would be the other like 5% of the time, but 95% of the time, it's usually the promoter, or if they have someone designated to do travel.
If you don't mind me asking, how much money do you budget for travel show?
So
You don't have to give me an exact number, but if you can ballpark.
I pretty much, in my head, I know what flights cost from what airports, because we either fly into Boston or Portland, because some airports don't have flights that come into Portland with enough time for us to, like, the Portland flights for some reason are super weird. Like, sometimes I was booking, I don't fucking know who the other day, but I was looking at it, and the only flight that was available would have got them in at 8:30 p.m., which doesn't work, obviously. So it baffles me sometimes that Portland doesn't have like accessible time frames, but it's either Boston or Portland. I usually try to designate myself if I know that I'm not splitting a flight with like another local promotion in the area, we're shooting for like 5 or 6. If there's a show,
You're shooting for 5 or 6 what?
5 or 6 flights.
You're shooting for 5 or 6 flights. Okay.
Yeah. If we have scenarios where maybe we're splitting with XWA on Thursday with a bunch of talents, or maybe Beyond or Northeast Wrestling is running on Saturday locally, where that way I only have to pay one end of the flight instead of both ends. We can kind of up the number a little bit. I think the most we ever had was like 9, but we were splitting with somebody on Thursday and somebody on Saturday. So when we can work with other promotions, it's better for the fans and it's better for both of our pockets, because we can split a flight, pay half of what we normally would, and really get better talent on shows for just a bigger and better experience for fans. But all depends on how it shakes out.
Going back real quick to the AEW thing, by the way, what do you think of this whole thing where all those guys are showing up on random indie shows?
I think they should come to Westbrook on the night. That's what I think.
How awesome would that be? How awesome would that be?
Yeah, it would be unbelievable. They're the biggest stars in the business right now, in my opinion. They're doing some major things. So it'd be huge, and it'd be huge for any promotion.
You got Max there. You never know. Maybe Cody will finally realize what Max is doing and confront him at Limitless.
Yeah, that would be saucy.
Put that on a t-shirt. Okay, let's see. The Indie Wave also asks, is the Vacationland Cup going to be the same as last year layout-wise?
It won't be the exact same. We had a lot of questions about this, actually, because I think a lot of people expect the rules of the cup to change because it's a championship now, which is not the case. From last year to this year, though, we had a triple threat match that was an opening round match last year because of the MSP triple threat that Joey Eastman set up. That won't be the case this year unless something wild happens where there's a need for a triple threat or a 4-way. But
I've got an idea for you if you're open to ideas. Get some Let's Wrestle talent, do a battle royal, a pre-show battle royal to get one of them in the tournament.
It's not a bad idea. It'd be a huge opportunity.
Yeah. Talk about grabbing that brass ring, man.
But there's going to be 4 opening round matches, scheduled as of now to be singles matches unless something changes. So that's 8 competitors total. The 4 winners of those will move on later in the show to a fatal 4-way elimination match. The winner of that elimination match will get the trophy, and they will still get the opportunity to choose whatever opponent, whatever match for the 4-year anniversary show in September. So,
would you ever consider also making it a number 1 contender kind of thing?
I would, but here's the thing, man, is if, let's say the champion is scheduled, let's say there's already a number 1 contender heading into September, right? And the champion is going to face the number 1 contender in September, and then the winner of the Vacationland Cup, they can insert themselves into that match, make it a triple threat, 33% chance to win, or they can have a chance to have a dream match, and if they pick one of the biggest independent stars in the business and knock them off, there's no chance that they won't be the number 1 contender after that. You know what I mean? So I guess it's just all personal preference of what you'd like to do, but the overwhelming thought is probably yes. Probably they will be challenging for the championship in September.
Would you ever consider, John from Orlando wants to know, would you ever consider a Money in the Bank style ramification for the Vacationland Cup?
So, they can cash in at any time?
Where it earns them a spot, a number 1 contender match at any moment's notice.
Potentially. I had never really thought about that, but I know for this year alone, they have the opportunity to choose any match that they'd like for September. Okay. But, obviously, I think everyone expects a championship match. But there are scenarios where that may not happen.
For sure. Think about that. Let's wrestle Battle Royal before the show. Take like maybe 10 people, so something like that. Give them a shot. Give them a shot to just get in a qualifying match.
There's a lot of talent from the Let's Wrestle shows. Yeah. We did a studio taping too. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but we've been putting up matches periodically from a studio taping that we did the day after Let's Wrestle. All that's on the YouTube, and really awesome stuff. Channing Thomas, both the Platinum Honeys, Davian, all four really, really impressed.
No doubt about it. Alex Calder, how are you going to make sure the Dirty Daddy and the Innovator of Violence don't murder each other? This is going to be scary.
I have no way to prevent that. So it's going to be nuts, as we talked about earlier. Chris Dickinson's on a warpath in Limitless Wrestling right now, but he's stepping into Tommy Dreamer's world. So I'm going to be very excited to sit back and watch that one.
This is a question we get a lot, and I know you'll probably have the same answer you do every time, but Mikey says, any chance of doing another event with another company like Beyond, GCW, or Chikara? And I think your answer is that you're open-minded to anything.
Yeah, it's all about the right opportunity presenting itself. We had a kick-ass show with Blitzkrieg in December, sold it out in Enfield, Connecticut. I think we'll definitely see a Limitless versus Blitzkrieg 2 coming up. But we've been trying to get something in the works with Beyond Wrestling for a while now. It's just a matter of something shaking out right. Who knows, man? I'm definitely open to it if the opportunity presents itself and it's good for both parties.
Jackson, I love this question. What are both of your favorite theme songs, current and old school?
So I saw this one, and I had to do a little thinking on it because I didn't have something like a light bulb in my head that went off and said that this is the one. You know what I mean? Currently, I think my favorite is Aleister Black.
Oh, yeah. It's great. It's great.
But I was thinking about this, and I love all four guys who debuted on Raw and SmackDown this week from NXT. I love all four of those theme songs. Black, Ciampa, Gargano, Ricochet. Four of the best going today, I think.
I think Aleister Black's is one of the best they've got right now, for sure.
If we're talking all time, this is where it was tough because I think the nostalgia one for anyone is Steve Austin because I still get hyped anytime I hear the glass shatter.
Which version of the Steve Austin theme?
The OG, the one that he still uses today. Yeah.
Do you like the Disturbed version?
No.
No, really?
I'm not a huge fan of it.
Huh. Interesting. I would have thought you would have been.
I think my favorite of all time, though, is My Time, Triple H.
Oh, that's a top fiver for me. That's a top fiver.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I was clanking and banging to that song a few days ago, actually. That's a hell of a one. I mean, for me, I've talked about what my favorite one is on this show before, and that's Gangrel's. Man,
yes.
Gangrel's theme song is and when I talked about it with Cody for the Limitless Wrestling preview, he said too that was one of his favorites of all time as well.
That's an amazing one.
Gangrel's and I love One of a Kind, Rob Van Dam's.
Yes, D'Lo Brown's as well.
Yeah, looking at the real deal.
I had a couple. I love Bobby Lashley.
You know where D'Lo played college football, right?
Yeah, of course, right down the street. UMaine Black Bear alumni.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that D'Lo Brown was a UMaine Black Bear.
Fun fact, I tried to book D'Lo Brown once for the...
He's a really good dude. Really good dude.
I tried to book him for the show that we did there in 2016 at the UMaine Fieldhouse.
I remember that. That's cool. That would have been fun.
I also love Bobby Lashley's debut theme song, the Storm in the Distance.
You might be alone on that island.
I may be. And just because of how cool the entrance is, because I remember this as a younger kid, Kofi Kingston's SOS the pyro.
I mean, you keep talking older ones. I mean, how about the Hardy Boys, the OG Hardy Boys? That's one of the best. And God, there's just so many. There's so many. Throw on your Spotify, go through some old WWE themes. Obviously, the NWO theme is a classic. There's a lot of good ones out there. Current ones, I think Aleister Black's up there for me. I biasly say this, but I thought I had a kick-ass entrance theme. I thought it was perfect for what I was doing.
I liked it. Okay, let me ask you this. This is an interesting one.
Okay.
Favorite on the Independents? Do you have anybody who sticks out to you that's a favorite?
I love the Young Bucks theme. Their theme song right now.
Is that the All Elite one?
The Super Kick Party theme.
Okay, is that the one with like the big guitar riff in the beginning?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay,
It's awesome.
that's a banger.
I mean, trying to think who else on the indies.
I was big on Roddy Strong when he was in Ring of Honor and had the Misery Signals song. That was a big favorite of mine, and I also loved Kevin Steen. I don't remember the name of it, but it was the last one that he used in Ring of Honor.
Oh, you know who's got a great one in WWE too? Joe. Samoa Joe's got a great one too. Yeah, I don't know, man. On indies, I mean, I love Ashley Vox coming out to Hooked on a Feeling.
Me too.
It's classic, you know. And I love AG's current theme too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's and I mean, come on, Ace.
Oh yeah, Your Love is amazing. I was just talking to somebody the other day about how it feels like an 80s music montage every time he comes out with all the fans singing it.
It's awesome.
It's amazing.
It's good stuff. Damian asks, is there anything you feel Limitless Wrestling lacks that you can improve upon this year?
I think we lack at a lot of shit. I think there's always going to be a lot of things that we're lacking on because it's extremely tough to hit a home run in every single area.
Of course.
I think each week I will find some kind of new flaw that we have and try to figure out a way to fix it. Like this week, for instance, I've been trying to work on like our DVD production and how it looks on DVD and how it looks on independentwrestling.tv, because we're sending a lot of our 2018 library and a lot of our 2017 library is going to be going up on independentwrestling.tv here within the next couple of weeks. If you don't know what that is, it is formerly known as Powerbomb TV. It's an independent wrestling subscription service. You can make an account. If you're a new subscriber, you can use the code Limitless and get a 20-day free trial, and it's only $10 a month. And you can stream Limitless Wrestling, Beyond Wrestling, CZW, Chikara, so many other independent companies that maybe you've never even heard of. Alpha One Wrestling, Ethan Page's company as well. Really good stuff there. I've just been, it's a lot of things. It's tough to really pick out something on the spot, but I think we're always going to have flaws. But the big thing is that if we can keep fixing the flaws instead of letting them sit there, I think that's the big thing into growth for Limitless Wrestling.
I'm trying to come up with like one area in particular. I don't know. I would like to see. I would like to see a little more consistency in the tag division.
Yeah, I feel that.
Like I want to see like teams that I know are going to be there almost every show, just trying to be those workhorses of the tag division. Obviously, you got MSP.
Yeah,
but like I'd like to see more of Bear Country. You know,
me too.
I'd like to see more of those kinds of teams who establish themselves as consistencies in the tag division.
The tag division is really interesting right now because we've got MSP, we've got the Thick Boys. Mm-hmm. Due to scheduling, we really haven't had Free to Think in a while, just because Jeff Cannonball has had weird schedules.
The Dream Team are usually there for the most part, you know.
Yeah, the Dream Team. Now we have Pepper Parks and Andy Williams who are making their debut. I guarantee you can probably see them around more often. We had the Shooting Gallery until Daniel Garcia got hurt, so it's kind of been a weird transition period for the tag team division, but I agree, and I think there's a lot of good teams around. Like you said, Bear Country, the Shook Crew, who by the time this is released, the Shook Crew will be announced for the show, which is like Max Caster, Bryce Donovan, and Bobby Orlando. Like
every great promotion has that like one definitive tag team feud that just stretches across 4 shows that is just like awesome, and you know what I mean? And like Limitless hasn't quite had that yet.
I'm with you.
And I can't wait for when it does, because it will happen. It's just a matter of who's going to step to the plate and try to really grab that spot of being the tag team in Limitless Wrestling. And
I would say the Thick Boys had it for quite a while. Yeah. And they had some barn burners, man. LAX and the Workhorsemen. Yeah. That's a really low-key match that doesn't get talked about enough.
The Workhorsemen are great,
Boys versus the Workhorsemen. Yeah. Fucking hell of a match from Only Fools Are Satisfied. And then, I think I wouldn't call it a lull, but we were really like, there was a point last year where we were tried out a lot of different teams, and we were just kind of figuring out where we were going to go with the tag team division. And I guess this is the year to really find out what we're doing.
Let's see. That's my challenge for 2019. Let's see what we can make of that tag team division here. Brandon T. It feels like LW is always ahead of the curve when it comes to building talent, more so than any other independents. Who do you anticipate stepping up to the plate and earning full-time roster spots this year?
I'm not sure, man, because it always surprises me. Obviously, I think we've had a lot of people with each year of Limitless Wrestling. I think new people really step up to the plate and knock it out of the park and really earn themselves solidified spots in Limitless Wrestling. So it'll be interesting to see who does that. There's a lot of new faces on this upcoming show. Jake Something, who is someone we haven't talked about yet. Jake is a Ring of Honor Dojo graduate. He's out of the Midwest, out of Indiana. He's making the trek all the way to Maine for Welcome to the Dance. Donovan Danhausen. He's also coming from Michigan. So those dudes traveling a long way for the opportunity. And we talked about earlier, Pat Buck, Brad Hollister, guys who either they're making their debut or they haven't been here in a long time. There's a big opportunity, especially at Welcome to the Dance. It's really a new era of Limitless Wrestling as we crown a champion, and a perfect opportunity for someone to pick up a big win and really solidify a spot in a return match.
And the final question that we have for Ask Limitless comes from Brandon H. Has Jon Alba taken his managerial wizardry to South Beach, or is he just down there for work? Wizardry. How about that, Randy? See, someone appreciates
I like that.
it. Someone appreciates it.
Wizardry.
I did get my Disney annual pass, so if you count that as magic,
okay.
There's some magic. I have yet to debut in any promotions here in Florida. That's not to say that things haven't been discussed. That's not to say that opportunities don't exist. But we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see, man. You got some time.
I got plenty of time. I'm on a 3-year deal here.
Beautiful.
Before AEW tries to snag me. So,
Hell yeah.
you never know. I mean,
All Elite Alba.
Alba Elite Wrestling. I don't know. We'll see. It's obviously, as you can tell with this podcast, my free time is extremely minimal these days. But would it be something that I would say no to under the right circumstances? I don't know. We'll have to see. Does it for Ask Limitless. Thanks for asking all those great questions. Randy, anything else you want to add?
Nothing, man. If you guys are expecting to come to Welcome to the Dance and you don't have tickets yet, I would say jump on it. 62 tickets left at the time of recording, where it's 4:00 on Wednesday. So don't wait, because we are not going to be able to release many more tickets, if any, to this show. Going to be a really fun time, and it's really the start of a new era in Limitless Wrestling. So I hope to enjoy it with everybody, and had a lot of fun with this. I love these Ask Limitless episodes.
No doubt about that. I'll be in New York for WrestleMania weekend. If anyone's heading down there, let's get together. Let's have some fun. Randy, I hope you get to come down there. I know you're on the fence right now, but I think it'd be really cool if you got a chance to get down there.
I agree.
Catch some shows.
I'm considering.
I think it would be a lot of fun. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.